The Kinky Cocktail Hour is brought to you by Motor Bunny, the world's most powerful saddle-style vibrator that offers fabulous creative sexual experiences. We use it and it rotates, it vibrates, and it delivers mind-blowing orgasms. Enjoy Motor Bunny as your favorite sex toy. When you order the Motor Bunny, multiple attachments are included along with the Link controller, which allows wireless control from anywhere. Motor Bunny is the world's most powerful saddle-style vibrator on Earth. Use the link in the show notes and spice up your sex life with a Motor Bunny. You're listening to Kinky Cocktail Hour, a conversation between adults about sex-forward relationships, kinky lifestyles, and frank communication. If you're under 18, please stop listening and visit scarletteen.com. I'm Lady Petra. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
I'm Sapphire Master. My pronouns are him, his, and he.
And this is Kinky Cocktail Hour.
Cheers! Okay, what are we drinking today?
So we're trying something new. It's an elderflower gin and tonic.
What makes it elderflower?
Elderflower liqueur.
Elderflower liqueur, okay.
Yes. So we had some and I thought, why not try it?
Smells like gin and tonic. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think the elderflower gives it the sweetness.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Gordon's that we're learning plays better with the tonic water.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And so basically it's 2 parts of gin, 1 part elderflower liqueur, and fill it up with tonic water.
Yeah.
And then squeeze a lime.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
We'll be sipping on that. So, one of the things I love about this podcast conversation that we have is
Yeah.
we meet like all sorts of people.
From all over the
From
place.
all over the place. We've interviewed Kingsters from all over the world.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
interviewed Kingsters who are just getting started. We've interviewed Kingsters who are 30 years in.
Yeah.
We're talking to folks who are writers and folks who are podcasters and folks who are manufacturers. So we have like a broad range of people that we talk to.
Sure.
And frequently, because on the show tonight is somebody who we've been having a back and forth conversation with on FetLife.
Yeah.
And she's agreed to come on and tell us about her journey. And she's pretty new to this whole thing. So it's exciting to meet you, Freak League. So welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
You know, it's always a pleasure to have you. And our process is we always begin by asking you about your journey. So tell us about your, well, we call it your, story of origin, like when you first discovered yourself sexually and then how that grew into how you discovered yourself as a Kingster.
Okay, so sexually, that's been a long time, right? I am a 57-year-old woman, so that's been 46 years or so. But I would say the Kingster really came out about 5 years ago when my husband decided we should do a questionnaire that was called the Sectionnaire. And both of us answered questions as to things we would like to try, maybe that we weren't doing. And we both then received an email that showed mutual interest only. So it was very interesting to see how he was interested and I was interested in a lot of the same things, but we had never spoke about them. That was about 2016. So after that, well, he asked me, let's go to a nudist place. And I said, I'm a little bit shy, but yeah, okay, we did that. And we started having a lot more sex in what I'll call champagne afternoons, where we would dedicate like the whole afternoon for me getting dressed up in lingerie and playing cards, me beating his butt in poker, taking all his money. And we would lead into sex, share a bottle of champagne. It was great, except I wasn't having any orgasms with him. So that led me to see a sex therapist. She was very interesting. And she told me, because I was squirting, I was just squirting alone, masturbating. So she had me do something called G-spot training, which was with a toy called the G-spot lollipop. and you had to manipulate your G-spot with this lollipop for like 3 minutes, 5 times a week, 7 minutes, 2 times a week, on and on until, you had like trained your G-spot. So that was really wonderful because I was definitely feeling more sensations when he would touch me, but it just still wasn't working. So as far as having intercourse or oral sex and me having an orgasm with him, then we went and we rented a Sybian, which is kind of like a motor bunny, right? And we kept it for a long weekend, and wow, did I have the orgasms. And I think that also was due to that G-spot lollipop training, because the Sybian, when I was on it with the specific lolly, it would rub the whole clitoris. So anyhow, that was really, really interesting that I had all those orgasms with the Sybian. So after that, I guess we watched another show called 1 Billion Orgasms. And that's actually a documentary, if you want to call it, about the Squirt Watch. And there really is such a thing as called the Squirt Watch. So I guess my husband kind of learned some techniques there, because it's really like a certain movement they say will make a woman squirt. I'm not sure if it was that or it was COVID. And I will say that COVID has really led 100%. And if I could give it more, I would give it more. As bad as it's been for everyone, it's been wonderful for us, because the closeness and the intimacy and the way I opened up to him led me to be a very, very squirty girl. We started watching a lot of online workshops. Actually, we're going to do another one tonight. All kinds of things: spicing up your sex life, BDSM, ultimate orgasms, kinky lifestyles, which is where we found FetLife, the Squirt Shop, all kinds of different places. Anyway, they were really good. And what I guess I realized is, there was nothing wrong with squirting, because when I was masturbating and squirting, I was embarrassed. I thought, wow, what's going on here? But it was awesome. And I wanted to do it with him. So I believe that the closeness during the isolation, numerous sexual encounters, and me just letting myself go made me a really squirty girl. And so I love to show my body off. I'm kind of an exhibitionist. You'll see a lot of that. He doesn't let me show too much, but I show enough. And we just really have found that our relationship has grown, and this journey for us is super fun. We're actually going to go to a swingers club. We have both been vaccinated for COVID, and we will still wear masks and stay away from people, but we want to experiment even more. So this has just been an eye-opening experience. And I really do say that it was not just knowing he wanted other things and me wanting other things. It was that sectionaire that brought all these ideas to the table. And then it blossomed.
Amazing.
Totally amazing.
Yeah, totally acknowledge you. I acknowledge you for being curious and experimental and adventurous and courageous. Those are all just great attributes to a swinging sex life.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back now, because you stepped over it a little bit. You as a sexual being, your origin of your own discovery of your own sexualness. When I know it was a long time ago, same with me. And I guess I'm curious about, prior to COVID and prior to all this exploration, were you only orgasming from the beginning on your own masturbation, or did you have other partners and were able to orgasm before? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying. And yes, so actually, honestly, my first sexual experiences were rapes, as bad as that sounds. The first was by one gentleman in the backseat of his car, and I was a virgin, and it was not fun. And then the second time, I was held down by 3 men in an apartment where I was living with my mom. She was in the bedroom with another gentleman. So I'm going to tell you, the beginning of my sex life wasn't great, but it made me very promiscuous. Nothing that I'm proud of there. So in answer to your question about my sexual journey, it's been interesting. So there's a lot of things that I guess you can leave unsaid with your current partner. But yes, in my early sex life with other partners, I'd say in my 30s was when I probably started orgasming. And it's so funny because I was riding this guy like I was going for the bull riding championship of the world. And all of a sudden he said, "You peed on me." And I'm like, I didn't pee, but I had come and I didn't even know I had squirted. So that's an interesting thing because you know what that did, and I was probably about 36 at the time, so 21 years ago, what that did is that shut me down with squirting because I thought that that was something bad. And then I had another sexual partner for quite a long time that was a little bit more dominant, and we had some wonderful times. And yes, I can remember being in what I'll call a cum coma many times with that partner. But I think that I'm proud of the fact that the beginning of my life, when I had bad sexual experiences and basically thought I was there to please a man, and if I didn't please him, I hadn't done my job. That's all changed now. So now I'm liberated enough that, I mean, just the other day, I fucked my husband's face. I just let myself go. And I just said, I'm going to take this. This is mine. I earned it. And so, you know, all I could do is go back 25 years or 30 and tell myself, you know, you should just enjoy this because this is fun and you deserve it. But I was just always trying to be pleasing to someone else. And I think that stems from the beginning of my sexuality, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, super powerful that you shared that because you're not alone in this. Lots of people have issues as they discover themselves as sexual creatures.
Yeah, with lack of understanding, it's, you know, we make up stories about things and we try and sort of hide what we don't understand. And so I can get the whole world when you say it sort of shut you down. I get the whole world of that. You know, I have a question about the time when you discovered yourself as a kinkster. Like, how did you think of yourself sexually before that? And then how did that change to how you thought of yourself after that? So sort of in that 2015 to 2017 range, when you really became out with your sexuality, how did your sense of self as a sexual creature change as you entered this discovery?
Yeah, so that's really a cool question because it has really changed. So I kind of was always like someone's mom or someone's wife, right? And I did the things I needed to do. But then when this change started to occur and we would have our champagne afternoons and I would dress up, I would feel very, very different, almost like a full 180 of what I am in my work day, in my home life. All of a sudden, I kind of felt like a call girl, you know, and I wear the heels and I even do my makeup. I do my hair. I put on perfume. I make sure my tits are popped out. I have a garter belt on and, you know, I just feel hot. And so I definitely now know that allowing myself to feel hot, which was encouraged by my husband because he loves lingerie and he loves seeing women dressed up in that, it definitely changed my attitude towards sex. Now I was hot, I deserved it, and I was going to just take what was mine compared to before being the wife who was there to please her husband. It was always good and loving and passionate, so I don't want to dismiss that. And at the same time, it didn't have the excitement of what we have now, which, you know, I mean, I can talk about other things. We, you know, experiment with all kinds of BDSM and we buy each other different toys and we use them on each other. And, you know, sometimes I'm the dominant in the role and I really feel powerful. So it's really a power play for me now when I get to be dominant. And before, I thought I was completely a submissive. I mean, I never wanted to dominate a man. The first few times we did it, and I know I'm a little off topic here, but this is interesting. I would actually have to get myself intoxicated because I could not bring myself to do the things that he wanted me to do, which is dominate him. He's a successful male and he likes to be told what to do once in a while. And so now, just the other day, last Sunday actually, it was amazing. I do not need any kind of alcohol or anything else because it is a super high for me now to be that sexual dominant or sexual being that feels hot, that feels worthy, that feels she deserves it.
I have to comment. It's so wonderful to hear this, a woman enjoying her expression of herself. And I would say what I'm hearing from you is the lingerie, of course, is the stereotypical thing of like, okay, dress up. So initially, we think that guy's like that, that's what I'll do. And you do it and you feel good, but now you're owning it. Now, really, I would say you're dressing up for you to get you in the mood to be turned on, to feel hot, to feel special, which is all the psychological part that women need to make that switch turn on.
Yes, definitely. I would say 100% my panties are wet by the time I'm ready to go play. Because I know that I feel hot. I know we're going to have a great time. I know he's going to make my pussy squirt. I mean, it's not embarrassing anymore. It's actually empowering.
Yeah, that's so great. I'm interested to know how your new self-expression as a sexual creature with this confidence that you're speaking with, how that's carried over into your regular life.
That's a very good question. Well, I am doing more risque things, which may get me in trouble one day. Like when I go take out the trash, a lot of times I'm topless, and that's the exhibitionist in me. I'm very confident. Today I went out, finally, like I said, we've both been vaccinated, so I felt safe enough to go and get waxed again. It's been a while. So I don't wear underwear. I look at my ass in the mirror and I say, hey, it's not that bad. Yeah, I got a few dimples here and there, but yeah, I look hot. So that has definitely carried over. The lingerie is just icing on the cake, is what I'll say. That just makes me feel better. But I can look in the mirror now and look back and say, I like what I see. And believe me, I'm far from a small girl. I'm a thick girl, but I'm okay with that because I know that, I'm 100% sexual. I'm 100% loving. I'm real. I'm just all things encompassed that make up what me and my husband have, which is an undescribable, passionate, loving relationship that nobody could imagine after 15 years would be hotter than the first time. And it is. So that definitely carries over to self-confidence. So a lot of times I will still look in the mirror and say, I feel a little dumpy or something, but hey, it just may be a hard day at work. But typically I definitely walk with a different air now. And I've even been known to flash a guy a breast while I was sitting at a stoplight.
Wow.
That's hilarious. I love it. I love the whole experience of yourself and your partnership of it getting better and closer and that kind of thing during COVID, because our experience of even this podcast and even just our own dynamic has been enriched by COVID. Where other people are isolated, we have done nothing but just keep having hotter and hotter sex and scenes, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing, which is that you've stepped into a world now where the opportunity for you to explore what's available, but also to get closer to your true, authentic self as a sexual creature, like that is now available to you in a way that it wasn't before. And I'm interested to know from you, as you look across the world of fetishes in kink, for example, like what is it that has really got your attention?
Well, there's a lot of things that have my attention, but you got to understand I'm walking a fine line at this time until we both understand what we both want, because there's so much. I'm more open to experimenting, and I would love to see him with another woman, pleasing another woman. We don't exchange body fluids. That's never going to happen with us. We're definitely fluid bonded, but not exchanging with others. And I would say that I'm very curious. We're talking about bringing in another individual to be a sexual partner with us. My husband has a lot of limits though. So what I want is not as easy to describe to you because I still am not at liberty to just be free myself. If I was, to answer your question, definitely, we want to have sex in front of others, have others watch us. We want to watch others. I would like to participate. I've been with a woman before in the past. I'd like to be with one again. But, it's hard when you're not exchanging the body fluids. I mean, I do want to, I enjoy sucking a woman's breasts, and feeling her up, but then that's where I've got to stop. So it's hard for me to really answer that question for you fully because I'm still in a committed monogamous relationship that I do not ever want to jeopardize. But yeah, I got a lot of thoughts in my brain.
So I want to just call you out, okay? So you can have sex with a woman and you can use protection. Like you can use dental dam, for example, to eat her pussy or vice versa. So you don't have to limit your interaction with another on the basis of body fluid if you're willing to use protection. So that's me calling you out, and I'll leave that on its own. What I'm interested, though, is in your kinks. I get that you're a voyeur, and I get that you're an exhibitionist, and I get that you're open to switching, and I get that you're open to multiple partners, so you have some sort of context for ethical non-monogamy. I get all of that. But I'm interested to know what your kinks are. So what are you into?
Okay, I would love to be spanked harder than shit and fingered and have my titties grabbed by another guy while my husband's doing that to me. I would love to have double penetration. So yeah, I'm interested in us having another male partner. A female it would be great to have another couple because my husband, I believe, deserves the experience of seeing another woman's reaction. I don't know if I could have the same amount of orgasms and squirting with another man with using his fingers inside of me the way my husband does, but I would like to try. And the same for him. I would like to see the woman's expression when he has really mastered a lot of skills. This man has only been with 5 women in his life, and he's 20 years older than me. So that is not a lot of experience. And when I asked him and I got books and stuff like that, like he's a studier and he has learned things that I think he could really, it would turn me on to watch him finger and suck and fuck another chick. But like you say, using protection would work. He's just still got a thing, probably because he's in the medical field, about skin. Yeah, you can wear a condom and you can fuck somebody's pussy or their ass, but your balls are still exposed. So that's where the hard limits come in. And if I'm being honest, those hard limits would not be in my scenario whatsoever. I mean, I'd be probably open for a full swap.
So you can always glove your balls. That's one thing that he should be aware of. The other thing would be you would express the power exchange that you're enjoying as you explore that. I mean, if you think about whether you have a male or a female involved as a play partner or a couple, you can use toys. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, strap-ons, all kinds of things where you can be playing with the woman with your husband. So you're both doing it.
Definitely, I would be into that. But so far, that's really a hard scenario to find with the women. There's not a lot of single women that want to come and play with another woman and an older man that we've found to this point. That's why we're actually going to journey for our anniversary in a few weeks to a lifestyle club. And like I said, keep our distance, but, let's see what happens there, and I'm hoping that as time goes on, maybe he will open his mind up to more of that. I totally agree. I'd love to peg another man. I would love to peg a woman. I would love to have her do me. I mean, I'm very sexual, and there's probably not a lot I won't do. I do not want urine or scat or blood, but pain I like. I probably like it a little bit too much for him, but that's me.
Got it. So the world of sexuality is broad. And as you've delved into your exploration of kink and you look at some of the dungeon scenes, which I'm sure you've done, like how submissive are you in the world of hardcore kink? Like what are you interested in there?
Yeah, so I would probably go for, being put on a crossbar, teased and beat and, probably not all the heavy bruising, but, in the BDSM world, I could switch up and play either role, but I would definitely enjoy being really dominated, let me see, how do I say this? Pain is pleasure to me sometimes, and that's kind of hard for my husband, who's very much of a gentleman, to wrap his mind around. He's getting better at spanking me. I wouldn't mind like him using a belt and tying me down and deprivation, please, edging. Definitely, we did some of that last weekend. Was great. When I finally was allowed to come, it was wow. Yeah, I had to do a lot of laundry. Anyway, so yeah, I would go for all of that. I would go for probably everything. I don't like needles. I don't want, like I said, scat or blood or urine. Those things don't really turn me on. Hard anal does. I mean, really hard anal would be great. Yeah, being slapped around. I love my titties slapped. I love them bit. I mean, typically it's funny. I have to use something that they use for a cow's udders because my nipples will be actually calloused from him sucking and biting them so hard, because I'm always saying harder and harder and harder and harder. So in a BDSM dungeon, I like to be blindfolded and, not know what was coming and, take whatever I was given. And sometimes I wonder, does that go back to the early days, when I was kind of forced into this situation, or is that really what I want? But either way, I know it's pleasing.
That's fascinating, actually.
So, I hear your masochistic side come out. And a couple notes before I ask my question. I get the whole I don't want the bruising thing, but really, a new masochist will always bruise on
at first.
That's a sure sign that you're dealing with a new masochist or someone who is not being used very often because there's full recovery happening. They aren't getting callous to it, if you will. What I would love to know is what masochistic acts have you actually experienced?
So I have to stop and ask, was I supposed to have enjoyed these? Because they were very masochistic and maybe I didn't enjoy them.
Yeah, it would be interesting as a masochist, because there's a way masochists experience pain, and sometimes the person applying it, whether it's hard from one person and hard from another, you might enjoy the same hardness from this person over here, point A, but point B does the same hardness and you don't, because their technique is different or off. So explain that a little bit, because I think the thing with masochists is there's a lot of stigma on what that means. And so anytime we get a masochist on to explain their experience of it, it's real powerful.
So for me, it was typically in a scenario with a relationship I had where he was more emotionally abusive, but then did things that really turned me on. So we'd go out dancing to a club, have a great time, and he would strip me naked in front of his house at 2 a.m. and turn me upside down and fuck me outside where everybody could see, pretty roughly. And that was a turn on. And I guess I liked the fact that I was being used. Then there were other things, he was just more forceful, in pulling my hair. That sounds like such a simple thing. I'm teaching my husband to hold my hair, it's long, in a ponytail and yank it up and down while I'm giving him head, because that's a turn on. So I really was never, I mean, the fantasy of spanking has been there forever. I mean, since I was probably a teen. And I don't know where it comes from, but it is an over-the-knee spanking that's going to just take me over the edge. And so I'm looking forward to that one day. I don't know when I'll get it, but I'm hopeful. As far as being really hurt, it wasn't a lot of that. It was more like this individual would put me in a situation where I was, we were out of town, and he said, go find a guy you want to fuck and bring him up to the room, and I'm going to watch. And so I found a guy, and he came up, and he couldn't get it up. So my boyfriend at the time said, well, you're a loser for that, buy her a bottle of wine and get the hell out of here. And then right after that, he called his cousin who was in the same town and said, come over here. I've got a girl for you to fuck. And he watched us and jacked off. So, that's not really masochism, but that was kind of putting me, I never asked for any of that. So that was kind of more of like the dominance that I liked, and then there were other things, where put your leg out the car window, pull up your short skirt, wave over an 18-wheeler guy because he's already ripped the crotch out of my pantyhose, and get the 18-wheeler to pull over and ask him, do you want some of this? And like, I wasn't supposed to like that. And I wasn't supposed to like the time he choked me out many, many, many times, but I did.
I'm really curious because I'm hearing a thread in what you're talking about, and I just want to have it something that you just think about and consider. Is it sounds like this past partner or partners were doing things that were what I would label more as humiliation, which is a fetish for people. And I understand that you were more drawn to the control, the power of the person demanding it, and you were being responsive as a submissive in that orientation. But have you even explored or questioned yourself on the whole humiliation part of it?
That's, I'm glad you brought that up, Yeah, so I do want to be called a cunt. And that's really hard for me to say because I'm a lady by day and a whore by night. I don't know what else to call myself. I just don't have somebody in my life right now that feels that way. He's if anything, I'm put so high on a pedestal, I'm always scared I'm going to fall off. So it's just a little different there. I guess I never really realized that I was into the humiliation, but I definitely, actually, it took a long time psychologically to get away from that partner. It was one partner, and it took a long time. He was he mentally had convinced me that my pussy was so stretched out that no one would ever enjoy it, which was totally untrue because now, after my orgasms, I am so tight, it's hard for my husband to put a finger in me. I think he was insecure, but, I fed into something there. And no, I've never explored that, and it's something I probably should. I just don't know how I would go about that now. The humiliation, wanting harder punishment, things like I naturally do feel like a submissive, but I definitely can switch into that power role because it really feels good to be able to fuck somebody. I mean, that really takes me over the edge.
So it's totally great to be a switch. So don't change who you are. Your switchiness is perfect. The thing I would say is, it sounds like your last partner was emotionally abusive.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason I hear that in what you're speaking is I had an emotionally abusive ex. And, I was not good enough for whatever reason, but yet I get fucked every day kind of thing. And I was doing my dutiful duty and wasn't engaged and all the stuff that I've alluded to in earlier podcasts about not being present. Where I am now is wonderful. But what I hear too is a way to encourage your partner. If people aren't completely in the same chord as each other, you might not get super hardcore stuff out of this, but you can probably get some enlightenment. And same with your partner. They don't know what they're missing until they've experienced it. But what they don't want to do probably is disrespect you. Because like you say, princess during the day, whore at night kind of thing. But you can ask for things. And there's ways to be humiliated in a way where it's consensual. What was happening before is you were a pleaser and it was an abusive relationship. So that creates a cycle, and that's just its own badness to begin with. So
Right.
we can't really look to that as an example for you. That's not a
Or
good
as a
frame.
guide.
Yeah, it's not a good frame of reference. However, I do think that humiliation might be part of your construct. And there's things to do, like he could have you hold a sign on the side of a road where he's not even around. So he's not doing it, but he tells you, I want you to just hold up a sign that says I'm a whore for 5 minutes. And you have to stand there until the traffic, whatever. I'm just saying that as an example. And then you can be obedient or not obedient. So let's say it's want to choose not to be obedient because you know you could stand there without a problem holding the sign. And then you come back and report to him that you weren't obedient. And then he has an opportunity to do an over the knee bare bun spanking. And all of a sudden, you now have created exposure for both of you in a safe, consensual context to experience, very playfully, in fact, these things that you're intrigued by.
And it enhances your dynamic in ways that are completely unexpected. Because when you take new actions, unexpected outcomes occur.
I agree with that. I agree with what both of you just said. I definitely know that with him, he loves my domination. And I sometimes really get pretty rough, and, he's okay with it. So I guess I just have to do what you said, which is very interesting, like just the simple little hold the sign thing. I disobeyed. Now I get a spanking, which is what I wanted, which is why I'm here to be bad anyway, but
yeah, or you obey and come back and report to him. And maybe it's a chance for you to then do a switch. If I'm able to do this, I switch. Or even if you are disobedient, if he's unable to spank you, let's say, for whatever reason, you get to switch and say, well, then you're going to get a spanking. You can make it playful where it becomes an excitement of what's next. Like it's play is what it is adult play.
Yeah. And as long as you're in communication, that's the
and
main
it's
thing.
consensual, of course.
Yeah. And so if it lives in the world of consent and you're in communication, then you can really expand your sexual horizons in a way that is completely unexpected. We could have this conversation indefinitely. I'm going to call an end to it now and just thank you so much for coming on and for sharing yourself with us and for being adventurous and open and just a real sport. So thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I really appreciate you guys having me. You guys are awesome. I love your podcast. I've learned so much by just listening to them.
Thank you. That's it for today. If you're interested in kinky relationship coaching, online domination, or if you'd like to sponsor the pod to keep it going, please visit our Patreon website at Lady Petra Playground. You can reach me via email at ladypetraplayground@gmail.com. Our music is composed and performed by Roger Ferguson, who can be found at rogerfergusonmusic.com. Till next time, cheers!